What's going on, you guys? Dallas Cowboy football news. First Q&A in the year. There's a lot of questions. Let's go ahead and get into it. Goodfellow 21F wants to know, why does our secondary blow donkey verga? Verga is Spanish slang for the D. Serious question, though. Appreciate the question. And right now, it's hard to say if our secondary is going to blow or suck, just because we haven't watched them play. We haven't watched them in training camps, OTAs, mini camps. The draft hasn't been processed yet, so it's hard to say where the team's at right now. Maybe after preseason, maybe we can get like a clue of what they're going to look like. But to say they suck wouldn't be fair right now, just because we haven't watched them play. Good question, good fella. Green Caesar 55 asks two questions. The first one, he says, "What do you think the Cowboys? Do you think the Cowboys will draft an offensive player in this year's draft? If so, who and what round?" I actually, in one of my mock drafts on Span Speak, I got I got Chad Hansen in the third round from California. And then he also asked, "Do you think the Cowboys could trade for Richard Sherman? If so, what would you give up to make this happen?" Now that's the tricky question, because it's what the Seahawks want for Richard Sherman, and if it's too expensive, don't do it. If you got to give up a first-round pick, I still say don't do it. And I say just build through the draft and getting your team young like they have been doing in the past. So I do not think the Cowboys should trade for Richard Sherman. And then a Swedish Cowboy asked, should we draft a cornerback, safety, or defensive line in the first round? They filled all the defensive lineman holes up. The corner position is 50-50, and one thing they haven't addressed yet is the safety position. And like I said before, I don't trust Jeff Teeth replacing Barry Church, so I believe that the safety position might be a first-round pick. Mexican says, who's your favorite Cowboy? That would be Jason Witten. And he says, who's your favorite Cowboy of all time? I would have to say Michael Irvin. He went through a lot of, and this is my favorite Cowboy of all time in my lifetime. Michael Irvin, he went through a lot of drama in his life. Was addicted to cocaine and changed his whole life around. Mexican, and I appreciate Mexican. He's been following me a long time, really, really a long time. Michael Rodriguez says, what do you think about trading a draft pick for Richard Sherman? Michael, I just answered a question just similar to that, but I appreciate it. I appreciate that question being asked. I don't want that to happen. Next question comes from South of Heaven 88. He says, Romo, Ring of Honor, Romo Hall of Fame. And this was a hard one. I really thought about this one all day, and I could see Ring of Honor just because Jerry Jones and Tony Romo's relationship, but that's about it. And then Hall of Fame, maybe later on down the road. And he's not a first. He only has 2 playoff wins. South of Heaven. He only has, and don't get me wrong, I've been watching Tony Romo since I was 14 years old, but he just has 2 playoff wins. It's hard to put him, because, Hall of Fame is elite of elite of elite, right? And, Dan Marino, he never won a Super Bowl, but he took his team to a Super Bowl. And so it's Hall of Fame. No, I'll probably be dead by the time he gets inducted to the Hall of Fame. But Ring of Honor, I might witness that in my lifetime. But there's like a slim chance he's in the Ring of Honor. Billy Joe asks, I'm kind of scared of Dak's sophomore slump, and we got no Romo to turn to if shit hits the fan. Have you thought about this? And I have, and sophomore slump is something I don't believe in. I really don't. Dak threw 4 interceptions, so if he throws 8 interceptions, would people consider that a sophomore slump? No. And I with Witten, the offensive line, Zeke, Dez, I don't see a sophomore slump coming that way to Dak. I do think the Cowboys might draft might get a quarterback in to help out Kellen Moore and Dak Prescott, because those are the only 2 quarterbacks on the roster, so it'll make sense to bring a quarterback in. So yeah, that's what I think of that, Billy Joe. Good question though. Jay Becerra, he asked, should we draft the best offensive line in the first round to replace Doug Free? And also, do you think Tyron Smith will play a full season next year? I think Tyron Smith will play a full season next year. and he got healthy towards the end there. And then not to replace Doug Free, because Doug Free, I mean, he was the weakest link all the offensive line. So if you're looking for a replacement, they brought in Byron Bell, and they also just brought back Jonathan Cooper, and Chaz Green's there also. So I say let these three guys play out. If Doug Free does retire, still no announcement from either him or his agent that he's going to retire. From what I hear, players are actually recruiting him to come back and play another year. Until that happens, we still got three guys, three solid guys that I think that could be a Doug Free or an upgrade. So I don't think you would need a first-round pick to replace Doug Free at all. Good question, Sarah. Sarah Green, she asked, do you ever do a live show? I do live shows on Dallas Cowboys Scouting. It's my Facebook page, Sarah. So if you have a Facebook, go check out Dallas Cowboys Scouting. 3 words on the Facebook page, and I'm pretty active on there. Good question though. Oh, and then I'm trying to do that you now thing. You live. I don't know. It's a green icon. I don't know what it's exactly called, but I'm trying to work some things out on there. If you want to follow me on that, it's DCFN, Dallas Cowboy Football News. Abbreviation DCFN. Pretty easy. Thank you, Sarah. Third question comes from Brando, the gaming champion. And he says, he got 3 questions from me. He says, number 1, what do you think about Tony Romo's new job? I think Tony Romo had to take this job. I mean, the job that he got with CBS, the number 1 broadcasting spot with Jim Nantz, comes once in a lifetime. And I think because if he plays with Houston or Denver for 2 years, that position is going to be filled, and he'll never get that. He'll never get that back. So I think that it was a smart move by Tony Romo, and I hope he does great. Second question is, should the Dallas Cowboys get Richard Sherman? But by now you know my answer. No. And what is your favorite Dallas Cowboy play of all time? And all time, it's all time, and it's going to be in my lifetime. Something that I can actually remember, like, hey, I actually watched this with my own eyes, not, a rerun of the 90s Super Bowl. So my favorite play of all time, I would be Jason Witten in 2007 getting smacked, and his helmet falls off, and he takes off running for more yards, and that would always be in my brain forever, that play right there. Donnell Jenkins, what's up? Donnell Jenkins, he's been a subscriber of mine for a long time too. Appreciate the love. He says, what's up, bro? What's up, brother? He said, would you rather trade back in the draft and have 2 second rounds, or stay where we're at, since 28 still feels like a second round anyway? It depends on how far you want to trade back in that second round, Donnell. I say stay where you are. We only have 7 draft picks. I think we need every pick available to make this team younger and better, stronger, faster. And I say stay where you're at. I mean, the Cowboys don't have a 5th-round pick right now. So if you trade back, get a top of the second and maybe get a 5th, I'm all for that too. Because we got to wait 70-something spots to pick again. And it drives me nuts. But I hope I answered your question there. And then Rafa Lamus, he's another subscriber of mine. He said, how do you feel about our defense this season after losing 2 safeties and 2 corners? What do you think? Do you think we should draft Jamal Peppers or a big cornerback that can lock down receivers? We should go against Odell Beckham, Alshon Pryor, etc. Exactly. And the last part of that question is why I say don't trade for Rich Sherman. Draft you a corner high that can take care of those guys. And I made a video about don't worry about our defense, Rafa. And I said, don't worry about it. Our defense is going to be fine because they are. The guys we lost are replaceable. Brandon Carr, Morris Claiborne, Jack Crawford, Terrell McClain, J.J. Wilcox, and then who was the other guy? Brandon Carr. I mean, all those guys are replaceable. They weren't playmakers. They weren't explosive playmakers. They just suited up, wore the star. I mean, Barry Church, yeah, he led the team in tackles with Sean Lee when fully healthy. I think that's the only play we're going to miss besides Brandon Carr's durability of being on the field all the time. But other than that, Morris Claiborne, J.J. Wilcox was a special teamer, second stringer, replaceable. Jack Crawford, rotational. Terrell McClain, rotational defensive players for the line. So I think all those guys are replaceable, and you can actually get better replacing those guys. I want playmakers. I want somebody that's going to get their hands on the ball not once every 3 years like Brandon Carr or a guy playing half a season. Every season he's been with the Cowboys, and Morris Claiborne. So we need reliable playmakers, and how you do that is you get rid of the old and bring in the new and give them a shot. But anyways, guys, this is it for Q&A. I really appreciate all the questions that was dropped. I was going to put y'all's questions up on the screen, but there's a lot of questions, and that thing was going to be like 15 minutes long. It's going to take me like 2 hours to edit that thing out, but I hope y'all like this format. Appreciate it. If you got any more questions, type them down in the comment section below, and I'll just answer them from there. It's your Dallas Cowboy Football News, Cowboy Nation. We are a family. We're going to do this. Peace.